Hello, hello. Welcome back to Peak Northwest, an outdoors and travel podcast by the Oregonian and Oregon Live, dedicated to the adventure and exploration of our beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm Jamie Hale.
And I'm Chiara Profena. Together, we take you to some of the most beautiful and interesting destinations in our region, discussing where to go, what to do, and places to see. So today, we're actually exploring Portland's public transit and urban nature, which I think can definitely be a beautiful destination, depending on where you're going and what you're doing.
And your opinions about, exploring the city. I love exploring the city. I think Portland is, obviously, I'm biased, but I think it's a very beautiful city. I think there's a lot of beautiful things to see here. And, there's obviously a lot of places to go. People talk about the Wildwood Trail in Forest Park. Obviously, there's Washington Park, there's Powell Butte. There's no shortage of beautiful places to go in Portland to explore. But one of my favorite ways to do this, my new favorite ways to do this, because I just did this for the first time, is something called the 4T Trail.
Yeah, and you mentioned this, and I was super excited because I've lived here for 5 years, and I've never heard about this 4T Trail, and it sounds so interesting. So tell me a little bit about what the 4 T's are.
Yeah, okay, so this is the number 4 and the capital letter T. That's what we're talking about here, the 4T. And those 4 T's are trail, tram, trolley, and train. And those are the 4 modes of transportation you take to do this loop adventure around the west side of Portland.
Super cool concept, too. I love that it's almost like a little bit of a hidden way to explore Portland, and I was curious if you had any idea where it came from or how long the 4T Trail has been a thing, because we just found it recently.
Yeah, I was just looking at the FAQ page on the 4T Trail. I'll be honest, I have not done a ton of research on it. It's something that I've just kind of been aware of the last 4 or 5 years, and I've been meaning to do it. The problem is one section of trail might be shut down. This was what happened last summer when I tried to do this. One tiny little section of trail was closed, and then that threw off the whole loop.
Right.
So, or if for some reason the public transit is down, then that throws off the whole thing. So you really are relying on everything being up and running to do this, because it is a pretty big loop in terms of just how much of this part of the city it takes up.
And so what is it, just on the west side of Portland, right?
Yeah, we're talking about, I believe it's all technically southwest Portland.
Okay.
You could say technically South Portland, but that southwest corner of the city of downtown and over to Washington Park is the part we're talking about. So it's a loop there that kind of, on one part of the loop, there's OHSU. One part of the loop you have the Oregon Zoo, and then you have kind of downtown. So the loop kind of connects the Washington Park at the Oregon Zoo over to downtown to OHSU by the Tillicum Crossing, and then by trail over back up to Washington Park.
It's kind of getting the best of both nature and city.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think one of the coolest things about this is the opportunity to take the tram, the aerial tram, which I had never done before.
Me neither. And it was always this thing that I was oh, that would be fun to do, but I never thought that I could just go up there and, take the tram. Also, it's just it didn't seem super alluring, but putting it in this whole adventure and adding it with other things, I feel really makes the experience more exciting.
Definitely. And it's, I feel the tram it's always something that you're either taking if you're an OHSU employee or you're a tourist.
Right.
Which most of us are neither of those two things.
Most of us here. Most of us that we know of.
The two of us are neither of those things. So there's never a good opportunity to take it. So I was thrilled at the chance to be able to get up on the tram for the first time.
Yeah, I know my parents are coming in August, and they've been very stoked about the idea of riding the tram. For some reason, I'm neutral, I'm tram neutral. They're really into the tram. So I'm really excited because I'm definitely going to do it at that point, and then maybe even throw in some of this 4T magic, see what happens.
4T magic is right. I don't know. There's something about this experience. It's not like anything I've ever seen or experienced before. The combination of hiking and public transit to do a loop trail through like a really cool part of the city. I mean, that's just really that's so cool that they do this.
And so you mentioned that it's this loop, right? And so little sections have been on and off throughout the years. So is it just like mapped out entirely for you and you have to do it in this particular order? Can you throw in some variations?
There's like definitely some variation you can do. The trail section, you pretty much have to stick to the trail, like its particular way of hiking. There's like some variation you could do if you wanted to, but like I would recommend people just stick with the route, the trail route they have. And then stuff like the train, if you're trying to get to like other points, especially once you get into sort of the downtown section, if you want to sort of come at it from different areas, different angles from downtown to get the train or the streetcar at different points, you can definitely do that. So like there's, when I came in, I wanted to take, public transit to get to the public transit hike. So I like took the FX2 bus across the Tillicum Bridge from the east side and walked over to the tram station, which is like not technically on the 4T trail, but like is basically the same exact route. So
you did your own little variation there.
Yeah. So once you take a look at this, at where these like main hubs are, you can sort of figure out different angles and different starting points too. That's sort of, I think, the bigger conversation is like, where do I begin the 4T trail?
Right. So you started at the bottom of the tram.
Yeah. So I went with my friend Lily and I. She had the day off, and I said, "Hey, you want to go on this cool adventure?" And she was like, "Yeah, definitely."
Of course.
I didn't even think about making it a downhill thing. I was like, obviously, we're gonna climb up to the top, the highest point of the trail. And like halfway through the hike, she was like, "Wait, we could have been doing this the other way." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess we could have, but here we are." So yeah, I started at the Tillicum Crossing, took the bus there, and I walked just like 3 blocks over to the tram station, the lower tram terminal at OHSU, and we took the tram up. It's like a 5-minute ride or something. It's not long. It just kind of takes you up to the hill up there to sort of the upper OHSU campus. Good views the whole way. Really beautiful, really cool. It was like pretty packed, and again, it was like OHSU employees and a couple tourists. So there's a lot of like people in scrubs looking like they're going to work in the morning.
Yeah.
We kind of decided to start a little bit later. I think we started at 10 a.m. because I wanted to sort of get like off of the commute hours and try to get like, when it was going to be a little bit less crowded. But getting on the tram was really easy. It is, I think, the most expensive part of this experience. So this is like overall a pretty affordable thing to do. But the tram itself is a little bit more expensive. I believe it's $850 to ride the tram. $875, and that is a round trip up and back. But doing the 4T trail, you're only going one way.
Right. There's
not really a way to sort of go back up or down the tram. So that's basically your one-way pass. So that is like, if you're taking, especially if you're going with a family, take that into consideration. That is but it's very easy to get your fare. You can buy it online. You can buy it in person once you get there. And then it's just that quick little tram ride up the hill. And it's just, once you get up there, it's a great spot to, I'd say, like stop and take some views, enjoy the scenery. And then it's just kind of like funny walk through OHSU, like these like hospital corridors for just like a second until you get out on the other side to the street.
And so the tram ride, how was that? Was that worth like all the anticipation?
It's funny. It was short. It was like, and I was distracted because I was like trying to get pictures. I was trying to get video. I'm doing journalism, so I'm like trying to get all the angles, and I'm thinking about this. But like everybody was very pleasant. Like we had like people were chit chatting. It was very nice. It was very cool. I love trams. Not everyone loves like a dangly sky car. I do. I think it's fun.
I think so. Yeah. I enjoy it. It reminds me of like snowboarding.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So I thought it was very fun. Definitely something like if you're a Portlander, you have to do it at least once. So, I mean, if this is the one time I do the tram, I'll probably go back at some point. But if this was like the one time I do it, I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, good experience overall. So once you're at the top, you're going through OHSU, and then you pop out on the trail. You
pop out onto sort of like the street that is like the sidewalk that's at the OHSU campus. And then it's like, a 4 or 5 block walk through kind of those sidewalks, and you kind of just take this right turn. I mean, again, carry a map with you. There's a good map on the 4T Trail website, 4t-trail.org. But also, I found one on All Trails, because I have the All Trails app, and I just downloaded that map to my phone so I could really like watch my progress along the trail. And that was so helpful and crucial, because this hike portion, which is the majority of your day, this is like, it takes a couple hours to do this hike. It's like I want to say it's about a 4-mile hike or so.
Okay.
But like we were doing uphill especially. So it was a bit longer, and there's a lot of turns. There's a lot of like navigation. So do bring a map for sure. And once you kind of walk a few blocks down the road at OHSU, you just turn down a side street, and all of a sudden there's a trailhead. And it pops you right into the woods, and then off you go.
So you said you were going uphill most of the way?
Yeah.
So if you were to start the other direction by the Oregon Zoo, it looks like you would be doing it downhill?
Exactly.
Okay.
You could, I mean, if you wanted to do the downhill, though, I think the way to do it is to start downtown and then go to the zoo, take the train from downtown up to Washington Park.
Yeah.
Because if you want to start at the zoo, you're paying for parking all day up there. And
Gotcha.
then that becomes the most expensive part of the trip. So, I mean, if you're down for that, like if you're driving in from like Beaverton or something, and that makes the most sense, just to park up there and you're cool with that, go for it. Because from the zoo, the zoo is sort of like the other side of the hike. It's like basically OHSU to the zoo.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy that you can hike between OHSU and the zoo, but you really can.
I don't think I've even been in like any of that. I'm looking at the map. I don't think I've ever done like any of that area hiking at all. Like I usually hike in Washington Park, but even like close to the Oregon Zoo, I haven't really gotten all the way over there. So I think it would be really cool. What was it like, the hike for you? I mean, you're a hiking expert.
Yeah, I used to do this area a lot. People talk about the Wildwood Trail as Portland's like long distance hiking trail, but there's another one called the Markham Trail. It gets much less fanfare, that runs essentially from the Willamette River up to the Washington Park at the Oregon Zoo. And it runs that whole length. And this is not all along the Markham Trail. It's partially along it. But this is like, it's almost exclusively wooded hike. It's kind of like in these little pockets of forest in between neighborhoods. So for most of it, you're kind of just walking through these forested trails that are winding, taking a turn here, taking a turn there. It's really well signed. There's like 4T Trail signage on the trail that points you in the right direction. For the majority of it, you're just kind of walking uphill through the woods. We saw a bunch of banana slugs. There were some red huckleberries growing at one point, so we got a little trail snack. That was pretty nice. Saw a few other people out there hiking as well. Once you get to, there's a park entrance there that has this beautiful mosaic that was made by like school children. Very cool, very cute.
It's nice to stumble upon.
Yeah, so there's a couple things like that you can really find. And then about halfway through the hike, you get to Council Crest, which is one of the highest points in Portland, where you get, it was cloudy when you went, so we didn't really get good views, but you can get a great view of Mount Hood, of Mount St. Helens. It's a great sunset spot. And crucially, there are porta potties there. There's porta potties. That's the thing, especially if you're going with family, you need to know where the bathrooms are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at OHSU, you have bathrooms. At Council Crest, you have bathrooms. At the zoo, you have bathrooms. Downtown, there's, bathrooms all over the place. So, like, it's really good to, like, know there are, like, resources there for you. There's water around. So, we got up to Council Crest, and it was, like I said, cloudy, so we didn't have great views, but a great place to stop and rest. There's benches up there. And then after Council Crest, though, there's sort of like the one weird part of this hike. I guess there's always, with a hike like this, there's got to be like one weird spot. And this is just, you kind of walk out of the park and you get to this little kind of like back neighborhoody street throughway, and you kind of end up walking along the shoulder of the road. It's not like a highway, but it's not like a not busy road. You know what I mean? There are definitely cars driving here, and it's not long, maybe, like a quarter of a mile or something. But it was walking on like sort of uncomfortably narrow shoulders alongside of the road. So we kind of, just cramped up as far as we could up against the side and found the crosswalks. And finding the trail back into the woods was also a little tricky, but we saw it. It was marked once we found it. And that took us, thankfully, right back into the woods and all the way up to the zoo.
Gotcha. Is this when you're crossing the highway?
No, I guess that's the other weird part.
Okay.
I should say that's the second weird part, which is much shorter, is once you pop out, before you get to the zoo, once you pop out of the woods, it takes you onto the side of the on-ramp to US 26. So cars are kind of entering the freeway, and you're on a wider shoulder, but again, a non-protected shoulder on the on-ramp.
Right.
It's not long. It's just like, I don't know, like 50 yards, if that. And then you cross over onto the sidewalk that takes you over the highway, and then over to the zoo.
Yay, and then you're at the zoo.
Then you're at the zoo, and you could really just be at the zoo if you wanted.
That's true.
We joked. We were like, should we go hang out at the zoo? But it was like, no,
there's too much to do.
There's too much to do. We have to go on. But if you wanted to like make an even bigger day out of it and walk even more, you could go to the zoo.
Well, there's a lot of like stops you can do. And I'm also imagining like if you didn't want to do the whole hike, you could kind of just do it as like a 3/4 of a circle kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the zoo, take the transit, take the tram, and then even like just ride the tram back down. There's a lot of like options for people if you don't want to do this long hiking portion, which I would say is the most challenging part of it, sounds like.
Again, if you're doing it downhill, is probably much easier.
Right.
It's definitely much easier. But I love hiking uphill. I'm that kind of person. Like, my body likes that kind of exertion. So for me, like, that's the point of doing this, was like the uphill climb was what was so enjoyable. One of the parts that was so enjoyable to me. So, and one thing at the zoo too is you could really stop for lunch there, because at this point we started at 10 a.m. I think we were now at like, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and so it was like, where are we going to get some lunch? You could bring a lunch, sure, but we were like, we're in the city, let's find somewhere to eat lunch. And we kind of played around with the idea of like, what if we like, there's like some pre-entrance food options at the zoo you could do. There's a gift shop if you really want to go shopping. But we said, the train ride from downtown from the zoo is going to be like 5 minutes.
Right.
Let's just go downtown and we'll find something there. So from the zoo, we kind of found the Washington Park Max stop, which I had also never been to. It's really cool. It's like underground. It really gave me like DC Metro vibes, which is cool. So, took the elevator down and got the train, and it was like just like really like 3 or 4 stops until we got downtown. And then from there, like while we were on the train, I was like, let me look up somewhere to eat. And there's this really good sandwich shop that I'm forgetting the name of. I have to look it up real quick. Tanaka.
Yep, I know about Tanaka.
You know about Tanaka. I was like, we got to go to Tanaka. It's going to be great. We got some like tofu sandwiches and fries. So good. And it was like right there, right off the stop, and right near, like 2 blocks from the next the trolley stop.
Gotcha. So what was like the area? So you popped out. What section of downtown is that where you came? It's over by the library, essentially. Okay.
So it's kind of like, I won't say it's, there's like the library stop.
Okay.
Southwest 9th and like Yamhill, Taylor area.
Okay.
Over by Director Park. So there's obviously so much to eat around that area. So many good lunch options. You could do all kinds of stuff. You could have a whole downtown day. That's the thing. Like once you're downtown, it's like, well, what do we do downtown? Do you want to go shopping? You want to go see some stuff? Do you want to? You could walk down to the waterfront from there pretty easily. You can skip the streetcar entirely, but then you'd only be doing 3 out of 4 T's, and what's the point? At that point, I was like, I could really just walk back to the Tillicum crossing from here. But
it's true.
Got to get the trolley going.
Got to see it through.
Got to see, and trolley's. I got to say, trolley. I love that it gets the 4 T's. No one calls it a trolley.
Right. It's
called the streetcar. I get that it's maybe technically a trolley. I don't know what is and is not technically a trolley. So, but I give them a pass. We got to have all 4 T's.
Yeah, I was wondering, so the trolley, what is that actually called?
The Portland streetcar.
The streetcar. And then the train, that's the Max.
Yes.
Okay. They just gave them all T names.
Yes.
To confuse us.
Yes. I mean, because it's like, I mean, I guess this light rail is a train,
Yeah.
you know?
It fits. It fits.
Yeah, I think I think it works.
I feel like Portlanders might not understand what the train or the trolley are. They're like, we don't have those.
Yeah.
So
what is it, San Francisco?
good to clarify.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's obviously a lot of streetcar stops downtown. The one that made the most sense, I think if you're following this route, was, I want to say it's 11th and Taylor. And I got there and it said like, you know, oh, it's going to be like 15 minutes for the next one. And I was like, oh, okay. But it came within like 3 minutes. And what's great about this particular route is that you can take any of the cars that come through. They all take you back to OHSU Tillicum Crossing area, and you can get right off. And so I took it over to the Tillicum Crossing, walked over to the bus stop, took the bus back home, and that was a day.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And then around what time did you finish?
I mean, I guess it was probably like 2:30 or 3 when I got home.
It's like a 4 to 5 hour experience.
Yeah. It's like a solid, a little more than half a day.
Yeah.
Basically.
But you get to stop for lunch. You could add or subtract anything you wanted to this, really make it your own.
Exactly. You know, you could say, well, I'm in Washington Park. Let me pop up to the Hoyt Arboretum, or let me go up to the Japanese Garden. There's like free shuttles in Washington Park that will take you all over the place there. You could continue your public transportation that way. I know shuttle's not a T. I don't know if there's a weird word that starts with T that we can shoehorn into that. But you can take the shuttle and explore Washington Park more.
You fit as many T's as you want into your day.
Absolutely. Just not a car. That's not in the spirit of the 4T trail.
So you said the what is it? The tram.
Mm-hmm.
That one was the most expensive.
Yeah.
What was your overall cost, if you remember? About how much did you spend?
I spent $875 for the tram, and I spent $560 for the bus. For the train and the bus, because I took the bus there and paid it's like $280 for like a one way for every 2.5 hours.
Right.
But you're going to be, so if you're just taking the train trolley, you could probably get away with just spending $280. But I took the bus there and back, so I spent $560 plus $875. I'm not going to do the math here on the podcast.
It's embarrassing. What, we're at like 14 and 5, so you're just under $20.
Yeah, plus the lunch, you know.
Okay.
Which wasn't that expensive. It was like,
Yeah.
$12 or $15.
And that's food. You need food.
You gotta eat.
And okay, so you're under $20. You're about a little more than half a day. Did you need anything, any type of gear? Obviously, like hiking boots and stuff like that. Anything else you'd recommend?
I mean, I when I'm doing a hike like this, I bring like my basic day pack stuff. I have water. Definitely have water. Really paid off to have it. I always bring first aid with me. Sunscreen, even though it was not sunny. I like to bring like an extra pair of sleeves to take on and off. So that's like layers. Just the typical stuff. Your sun protection, your first aid, your water, your shoes, your, layers.
Yeah.
I always have like a protein bar in my bag also in case I get starving. In case like everything downtown is closed for lunch. You never know. It's just always good to have that kind of stuff with you.
Yeah. Okay. So good to know. And then let's see. What was your favorite leg of the entire 4T trail?
Well, I mean, I got to shout out the tram because that was like unique. I never had that experience before. Obviously, the hike is really what you're doing, right? Like the train is a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And the streetcars, a couple minutes. Those like barely register. The hike itself is really great. And I've done portions of this before. Like Markham Nature Park is one of the areas you walk through. And that used to be one of my go-to hikes when I lived in Southwest Portland. So it's just like a lot of these sort of meandering, winding, forested trails. It's like a great sort of place to do meditative hiking. And there's like just really cool stuff. Like along the way, you cut through this little neighborhood and you walk by this house in the woods that's where a totem pole carver lives. He's with Yakima Nation. And you can see his like back deck in the trees, and he's like working on like poles, and he's got stuff standing up, and it's just really cool to see that. And I always love hiking past there and seeing what he's working on. Council Crest is obviously a great spot, especially, again, when you can see the views, it's really great. And I think it was just cool to like when we got to the zoo, I was like, can you believe that we just like walked to the zoo? Like,
yeah, you don't think about those being close together at all.
Yeah, from like the river to the zoo, you can just do that without a car. And with honestly barely any public transportation, that's just tram and hiking. And if you wanted to, you could hike all the way up there. So, I mean, I think that's something about that's just cool. I don't think about like accessibility in that way, but like that portion of the city is so hikeable. It's a great reminder that like there's so much good opportunities for trails there.
Right, absolutely. And I don't even hike in that area much, but even like you don't even have to take the train because you just go straight through Washington Park. You could hike through basically that entire area. That's like the area that I hike in, is from Burnside all the way from like throughout Washington Park area. I do that quite a bit. So you could, totally just like skip one of the T's.
Yeah, if you want to be a real sicko about the trail, you can connect the Markham Trail up to the zoo, hike through Washington Park until you get to the Wildwood Trail.
Wow, yeah.
And then you could hike the Wildwood Trail through Forest Park. I mean, that's like...
all the way to Sauvie Island.
People who like run could probably really do that.
Not me.
If you're like a long distance trail runner, you could really make that into an insane adventure.
Yeah.
Not me, not at all. I would have to camp on the trail after like, half the distance.
Yeah. I don't even know if I would make it that far. But good to know.
Yes.
That's an option.
It's an option.
So we would obviously, this is like a great experience for anybody. And if you don't want to do the hike, you don't have to. You can obviously just do like a little almost complete loop. But who else would you recommend this for?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's a hiker in Portland or the Portland area who wants something local that you can do. Trails are so crowded in the summer, especially. If you're up there trying to like hike Mirror Lake or something, or Angel's Rest, like those are going to be slammed. This is not a busy hiking area. And the fact that you have so many places to like you don't, like I didn't use a cart at all to get there. So I had no issue with crowds at all. The tram maybe gets a little crowded, but like that's okay. So anyone who wants a hike like locally without a lot of hassle, it's really great. Tourists, obviously, if you want to explore the city, it's such a good way to see so many of the best parts of the city. Washington Park, I think, is the best park in Portland. Downtown, I know people say stuff about downtown, but it's very cool and fun, and there's a lot of great stuff there. Obviously, the tram, like we said, is a really cool tourist attraction, and so is the South Waterfront. So anyone who wants to explore that area, who's visiting town, if you have people, guests in town, it's a great place to take them, especially if they're a little outdoorsy. If they're a little less outdoorsy, do the downhill section.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And then good to note, when I looked it up, the tram is closed on Sundays.
Oh, good to know, yeah.
So don't go on Sunday. Any other day is fine.
Yeah, then you have to really hike up instead of taking the tram up. And that adds a lot of miles, yeah.
That might not be the most fun hike, going straight up that part.
It's pretty good, actually.
Okay.
It meanders around.
Okay.
I've done that, almost that portion of hike before, and it's really not that bad.
Just would add a lot and cut out one of the most exciting parts.
Exactly.
So
yeah, that's the thing. Why do the 4T trail if you're not going to do all 4 Ts? That's what I'm saying.
Well, you're really selling this, so I feel like it's going to have to happen.
You're going to have to do it. What, this weekend?
I'm gonna talk to my parents. I'm gonna see if they want to do it with me when they're in town, because I think obviously all the downtown stuff, they'd be so down. The tram, they'd be 100% down. It's just a hike. I don't know if they want to do a 4-mile hike while they're in Portland for 2 days,
Fair.
So
not everyone does.
We might do 3 Ts, unfortunately, Jamie. But I'll definitely hit that last T. If it doesn't happen, I'll do it another day, because it sounds like a pretty fun hike.
Yes. Perfect. Well, folks, that will do it for us for today. Until next time, you can watch our videos on the Oregonians YouTube channel and view all of our travel and outdoors coverage on OregonLive.com/travel, as well as hereisoregon.com.
Please leave us a rating or review if you enjoy the show, and if you want to support this podcast as well as our local journalism, please consider a subscription to Oregon Live. You can find the details at OregonLive.com/subscribe. Also, if you're a fan of the show and you're interested in potentially sponsoring it, you can get in touch with our marketing people at advertise@oregonian.com. This episode of the show was produced by me, alongside Jamie Hale, Vicky Connor, and Teresa Mahoney.
Stay safe and happy travels, everyone. Until next time, we leave you with this 10 seconds of Zen.